In celebration of Harman's newest film release, Harman Phoenix, which is Harman's first colour film, a Manchester camera shop, Camera Crib, did a walk with Harman around Manchester, around the city centre. And I headed over and shot a roll of Harman and, the leftover of a roll of Tri-X, which I'll also put at the end. But for the majority of this video, we're going to be looking at the roll of Harman Phoenix 200 that I shot and my observations on it. If you haven't already seen, I did a initial thoughts video on Harman Phoenix because I was lucky enough to be sent some a few months back before the release of the film stock. One of my key takeaways was that although you can shoot the film at 400 to control the halations, the underexposure didn't work great. There was a lot of greens in the shadows, and the shadows had a certain muddiness to them that I wasn't a massive fan of. That being said, I love the vibrancy of the film stock. So for this photo walk, I shot the whole roll at 200 ISO with the exception of one photo, which I'll be talking about later on in the video. Something I liked in particular about my first few rolls was the vibrancy in the colours, especially the reds. And so I focused a lot when shooting this roll on looking for the colour red whilst we were walking that I could photograph and see how that rendered. So you'll see that a lot of these photos have prominent themes of red, and you can see how well and how not only how accurately, but how vibrantly these reds are rendered with Harman Phoenix. So as I said, all of the photos were shot at 200 ISO, apart from this frame, which was shot at 100 ISO. So I took the same photo at two different ISOs, one at 200 and one at 100. So I'll put both on screen now for you to have a look at. As you can see in the 100, there is more vibrancy to the reds, but the highlights are blown out. I do like how the 100 looks here though, so I think I'm going to shoot a little bit more at 100 on future rolls and just see how Phoenix, renders skin tones and things like that, and other elements other than just colour and highlights. I also shot this photo at 200 ISO but with flash, and again you have that same great vibrancy in the reds and the blues and the yellows, like all of the kind of primary colours that you might find when you're shooting are rendered really nicely, really vibrantly within Phoenix. On a few of these shots, especially the ones where you have kind of like the cityscape and the buildings in the skyline, I really leaned into that halation that does come with the film stock, and I think that this gives it a really ethereal kind of view, and something I really like. I think if you were to use this halation intentionally, you could get some great results on it. I also really like this photo at the end of the day when the light was, kind of disappearing, and you have the neon signs, the bright colours, the glow on the pavement. I think all of this comes together really nicely, and that the qualities of Phoenix actually really do lean in towards these kind of neon scenes. As I said in my previous video, my next steps with Harman will be to print it in the darkroom. So enlarging some of these frames, printing some contact sheets. I'm hoping to do that over this Christmas period that's coming up now. So hopefully in the new year I can talk a little bit more about Phoenix, but from kind of more of a printing point of view, talking about my experience in the darkroom using it. But a big thank you to Harman and Camera Crib for putting on this walk. I'm going to link them both in the description, alongside Come Through Lab, who is the lab I use for most of my stuff. They scanned and developed these photos, this roll. It's the first roll that I have had developed and scanned of Phoenix, not by Harman. So of course that could also be leaning into some of the results and where they're differing. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the next couple of photos I'm going to roll through are actually on Kodak Tri-X 400. It was just the end of a roll that I had to finish shooting before I could load Phoenix. So my next video when it comes to Phoenix will probably be about darkroom printing. I have shot quite a few rolls now. I'm going to put a poll up over on YouTube, over on Twitter, over on Instagram, so you guys can have a look at the photos that I've already shot and what you think would be maybe interesting for me to print. But I will see you guys in the next one when I'll be talking more about Phoenix from a printing point of view. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.